A political showdown has erupted already with regard to the India-China meeting. This, remember, is with how the Congress party is charging and questioning the government at the centre, the Modi government, saying that the details are not clear. Now, this is with regard to what the Congress is saying, that we expect restoration of the pre-2020 status quo. But this is an indictment of PM Modi's gullibility over China. That there is this gullibility that we see. Jairam Ramesh has put out a post on social media site X saying many questions remain still about Modi government's announcement that some agreement has been reached with China. That is on the patrolling arrangement along the line of actual control. Our statement on this key issue of national importance is what he has said, but adding, and some of the key words here, this is indictment of PM Modi's gullibility over China. We expect the restoration of pre-2020 status quo. Let's go directly then on the ground in Kazan in Russia, where India Today's managing editor Gaurav Sawant is joining me. Gaurav, so finally it's happening in the next 2 hours. Prime Minister Modi already there. Tell us about what's happening on the ground.
So right now there is a slight delay in the first plenary to begin, and this is a closed-door meeting of all the BRICS member states, and these are the founding members of BRICS and South Africa, which joined a year later. So Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, the 5 founding members of BRICS. It's a closed-door session of these members. This is a 2-hour session, and after the 2-hour session there's another session that will begin, and that is those new members who are being inducted into BRICS, who are becoming a part of the BRICS family this year, including Egypt, Iran, United Arab Emirates and Ethiopia. Their members, they come and join in. Then there is a larger session for the next 2 hours, which is about, associates and partners and observers and other countries that have been invited to look at how BRICS functions, what they discuss, how they discuss, and how BRICS impacts the world economy, and the non-West countries, how they are coming together for their economies to move forward for just economic development and multilateralism, which is the theme this year. So then the next conversation is about that. India's role, as President Putin said, India's played a very, very critical role in this organization. India has also emerged as the voice of the global south, of the developing world, whether it's our presidency of G20 last year in Delhi or the current BRICS session, or on every forum India talks about the developing world and how all that needs to be done shouldn't be restricted just to one, how the developed economies look at the world and how they want to impact the world or they want to run the world. It's multilateralism. Yes. Everyone has to come together to perform for the betterment of humankind. That's the message that India is taking across this year.
Gaurav, I request you to please stay on with me. I'm also joined by my colleague Rahul Gautam here in Delhi. Rahul, meanwhile, there's a full-on political showdown internally within the country. What is the Congress party saying at this moment? Why are they not convinced with the announcement that has come in?
Well, just a short while back, Jairam Ramesh, who's the media in charge of Congress party, had released a statement stating that on one hand, the government of India is hailing this agreement between India and China on border dispute as historic. But at the same time, they are concealing the important details. In fact, he has sought details that whether the patrolling rights of Indian troops will be restored, the post-conflict or post-Galwan incident as far as Demchok is concerned. Then Mr. Jairam Ramesh also asked the government that whether the grazing grounds that were used by the farmers or by the livestock farmers in that particular area, whether they'll be used by these these people or not in the upcoming times. And thirdly, he said that the so-called buffer zones, which he claimed has been ceded by government of India to China.
So clearly the Congress party is saying that, yes, it doesn't look very convincing. Stay on with me, Rahul, because I'm also joined by BJP's Tom Wadakan on the phone line. Mr. Wadakan, good afternoon. Pooja Shali here. Tell me this, when the Congress says this needs more clarity, we expect that it has to go back to the pre-2020 status quo, that there is gullibility over China of Prime Minister Modi. What do you say to that?
Well, this is a situation where the grapes are sour situation. Their proximity to China was known and there was an MOU signed. Now here is the masterstroke coming from Prime Minister Modi ji, and that has upset the apple cart. Their dynasts are worried that now the only sole supporter for them is going to go the other way. This being the circumstance, they're asking questions and query. Well, if they had that kind of proximity, they can dial China and find out. Why do they need all this trouble to ask us what is happening? So, I mean, they have an open channel to them. They've been meeting the embassy staff and other ambassadors and what all. So if that is the situation they have, why don't they get a clarification from them directly and come into public domain? Because asking these questions clearly indicate they're cynical. And they're cynical because their master plan has failed. That is the reality.
What was their master plan? What do you mean that Congress Party's master plan has failed on this issue? Because here the government, on the other hand, is saying that, this is a big step. India-China meeting after 5 years appears to be easing tensions at the border. But why do you believe that opposition's master plan has failed?
This is, I'm specific on the Congress Party. Will they come into public domain about the MOU that they signed? And they believe that China will support them under any circumstances. Now things are changing. The geopolitical scenario is changing. With Prime Minister and the Chinese chief meeting, things have changed. Politics doesn't remain the same, especially diplomacy. Diplomacy is all state-centric, and each country realizes the importance of the other. And that is the reality that the Congress Party has to realize. Their master plan was the MOU that they signed, and that's a failed project once again, because this clearly proves no MOU can sustain national interest.
Appreciate you joining us, Mr. Tom Warakan. I want to go back to my colleague Rahul Gautam on this. Rahul, you tell me, why possibly this statement? Because it appears that they're saying many questions remain. And you were also elaborating on why Congress perhaps feels that this is not exactly a moment of celebration. A lot depends on how it happens on ground.
Has been raising this issue. In fact, Rahul Gandhi himself has been raising this issue, not just in India, but also on global platforms, saying that how the government of India is just not doing enough to keep the, the sovereignty of India intact. In fact, he's been saying that the government of India, the Modi government, they're not doing enough and not taking on China as far as Indo-China border dispute is concerned. And in fact, Congress Party, Congress leaders are again saying that the government should take opposition and people of India into confidence and must put in record as to what India is going to gain from this historic agreement which BJP is claiming. In fact, some point-blank questions have been asked by Jairam Ramesh. He's saying that whether the post-Galwan incident situation will be restored, will the patrolling rights will be restored in the areas, contentious areas like Demchok and and in Ladakh. Also, he's asking that whether these, so-called buffer zones which are to be created, which he is claiming are going to be ceded by government of India to China, whether they also include a site of, Indian hero and an Indian martyr, Major Shatayan Singh. So clearly, the Congress is trying to put, the BJP in a tight spot, saying that all what BJP is claiming is just not black and white. There are certain areas which needs to be clarified by the government, and one should not be misled by government of India. So clearly, you can expect that this is going to remain.
Stay on with me, Rahul.